The English striker Marcus Rashford is set to go on loan with Barcelona from Manchester United as we take a look at the Mundo Deportivo headline. This is pretty good. I mean, Marcus Rashford...
Do you need me to translate that?
Please, yeah, go for it,
Welcome,
Nico.
Rashford.
Oh, thank you, Nico. I don't know what we'd do without you. Jay, what about this move for Marcus Rashford? Is this a good move for him?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Obviously, he had a good season last season at Aston Villa, scored some goals and put in some big performances. But he's had a lot of off-the-field problems at Man United, and it's a bit of a topsy-turvy few years for him. Didn't get on with certain managers, but going to Barcelona, it's going to be unreal for him. They're one of the biggest clubs in the world. Seeing him play on the left as well, with Rafinha, Yamal, Lewandowski, it's going to be great for him, and I'm sure he'll be buzzing to get there.
What do you think about the roster that is already there at Barcelona, Phil? How does Rashford fit into the lineup? Where could he play?
Yeah, initially, he doesn't go straight into the starting 11. I think this is a great deal for Barcelona and for Marcus Rashford, because Barcelona were looking to strengthen their forward line.
What did Rashford do in the last 6 months to prove that he's a starter at Barcelona? He was really good at Villa. Yeah. I think I'll qualify it as that. Leaving Manchester United, getting out of a very sticky situation, and going into Villa, proving that he still can compete, play at the highest level. But is that good enough to walk into one of the best teams in the world from last season?
I think it's more his potential. I think potentially...
For sure, and that's why I understand he wouldn't start, right? Especially when you're talking about having to displace Rafinha from the left-hand side, where he put together a season that it looked like a Ballon d'Or potential season, right? And then you're talking about Dani Olmo. Sure, Dani Olmo was awesome when he was healthy. He was awesome last season.
I think, though, if they change the formation, then maybe he can fit in straight away. If they put Rafinha as a number 10...
Are you going to change the Barcelona formation that was so good from last season in order to accommodate for a player that has played decent for 6 months in the last year?
It gives you the option, at least. And that's what Barcelona... They were lacking a bit of strength in depth up front, and this is what Marcus Rashford brings.
I think Rashford, if Rashford plays on the left, the way Barcelona play, they make the pitch really big, they stay really wide. Jamal's on one side, he's literally touching the sidelines, and you've got Rashford on the other side. In them one-on-one situations, there's not many people who are going to be able to defend with him, because he can get down the left, he can use his left foot to put the ball in, and then he can come inside. And when he comes inside, the link-up play with Lewandowski, and he can shoot. I think that formation is really, really good.
Can I be the party pooper here? We don't actually know if Barcelona can register Marcus Rashford at the moment. They can't register. They literally can't register Marcus Rashford at the moment. Somebody has to leave for Marcus Rashford to be able to be registered. So hopefully for Barcelona that happens, and we could talk about Marcus Rashford playing and not talk about Barcelona and their registration problems. But at the moment, as things stand, somebody has to leave for Rashford to be registered.
Isn't that the same case for Joan Garcia as well, the goalkeeper?
Very much so.
So we're looking at an 11 that might not be the 11.
Yeah.
But I hear what you guys are saying.
We can dream a little.
I hear what you guys are saying. And when you do talk about a Lucho Diaz, a Nico Williams, they are of that quality right now, especially coming off of 2 really good seasons, respectively, for both of them, that you say, all right, this is a player that you can't have just sitting on the bench. It's for the amount that they would have paid for Nico Williams or Luis Diaz, it feels like they must start. Rashford is one of those guys that the upside is massive, because we've seen how good he can be. Yeah. Because he can be, when he's on it, he's world-class.
That 30 season, that 30 goals he scored in that one season, he was unbelievable.
How long ago was that, right?
It was.
And we want to see that, especially when he comes to Barcelona. Barcelona wants to replicate that.
So now that we haven't seen that from him in a while, what does he have to do to prove himself to ultimately get into our dream starting 11 that we have?
I think he has to do a lot of what he done last season. When he comes on, make an impression, be a team player, don't play like an individual. I think the fact that he's gone to one of the biggest clubs in the world means he can't mess around. He has to go there with the right attitude, with the right mindset, earn his way into the team, and then be consistent.
But also coming into a Barcelona side that press, that's high intensity, that wants to get the ball back high up the pitch as well. And working under Unai Emery for the second half of the season, I think will have prepared him a little bit for that as well. Unai Emery is a guy who demands maximum intensity. He's a very intense character himself, demands that from his players, so that will serve him in good stead. But yeah, Hansi Flick will not accept someone who is strolling around the pitch and not showing a good attitude. He showed that last season as well. Iñaki Peña, the substitute goalkeeper, or the goalkeeper who was playing then, turned up to an activation session 3 minutes late, dropped. So Marcus Rashford has had issues with disciplinary behaviour, whatever, in the past. He needs to come here and behave absolutely impeccably, train absolutely amazing.
I do feel like it's somewhat of a clean slate for Marcus Rashford, especially from his credibility standpoint. At Manchester United, at one point, he kind of became the guy, right? The kid from the academy that everyone raised and put on this pedestal. And there was a certain entitlement about Marcus Rashford because maybe he didn't have to bust his ass to prove anything. He was already there. He already showed how good he can be. At Barcelona, I wonder how many culés are watching Manchester United week in, week out. Then they know the name Marcus Rashford, but I don't know how many Marcus Rashford games they've been seeing week in, week out. So he needs to prove himself to the Barcelona fans.
I think that's the thing. When he's going to this Barcelona team, he sees Lewandowski, experienced forward, can't mess around with him. Then you've got Yamal on the other side, one of the best young players in the world. Then you've got Pedri, De Jong, those kind of players. He can't go in there and automatically be like, I'm the man, flex his muscles. He's got to go there and fit in because ultimately he wants to make this loan permanent. And the only way he can do that is by performing and be in the team player.
Rashford has to have a sense of some type of confidence, though, because he's forging somewhat of an unwalked path. He will become just the second Englishman to play for Barcelona behind Gary Lineker, and that was back in the 80s. It's been this long chunk where we haven't seen English players at Barcelona. Wow. Why is this? Is it technical? Is it cultural? Why don't we see more English players going to Barcelona, Phil?
I was listening to Catalan radio the other night when they were discussing this, and they were suggesting maybe a little bit of a stereotype, but there might be some truth in it, in that British and English players aren't necessarily the most technically gifted and don't necessarily fit into the Barcelona model. Again, a little bit of a stereotype.
Gary Lineker certainly wasn't.
No, but he scored goals. But then they played him on the as a winger, and that didn't really work. But yeah, I mean, British players. There's only been 4 British players in their history. If Marcus Rashford joins, Mark Hughes and Steve Archibald being the other ones. We'll talk about maybe Real Madrid as well. Maybe they've had a few more British and English players. But Barcelona, they've always tended to look from within as well, promote from the Cantera, from the youth academy. La Masia has produced 1 or 2 decent players over the last few years. So they haven't necessarily needed to look to English players.
So it's more of the club saying we don't need you versus the English players saying we don't need to go there?
Yeah, I mean, in my era coming up, I mean, Lineker was before me. I was only 4 years old then. But I mean, a lot of British players, English players especially, don't really want to move away. I mean, when I went to play in Serie A when I was 21, I think I was like the 6th player to ever go and play in Serie A. So a lot of players like to stay in that comfort zone. They like to stay at home. They like to be around their families. That's why I always say for foreign players coming to England, you have to, give them their props because they're learning the language, they're learning a different culture, and it's really difficult. It's all right, my wife's Italian.
Jay, what is it culturally? I mean, I guess it's that, right? And I don't blame English players, certainly, because the Prem is an extraordinary football league. Why would you leave when you have a developmental system for all these clubs, probably incredible institutions that build these players up?
It's all money, basically. We're talking about this.
Get paid well, but it's like, you look at La Liga, overall, how many English players have played there? You look at Serie A, like I can think of a couple now. I think there's a new wave, right, of players moving over to these foreign leagues.
Like the bottom team in the Premier League can afford to sign basically the best player of any team in La Liga apart from Real Madrid, Barcelona, Athletic. That's how it is. So a lot of it is down to
the financial. Definitely the financial. But in saying that, like when I went to Italy, I got paid tax-free, which is always a bonus because you ain't got, in England, you get taxed 50%. So it can work itself out.
Yeah.
So we're also giving tax advice here on Footy, in addition to the football
not American
analysis.
taxes.
Why did you decide to go to Italy in that moment?
I always used to watch. There was a show called Futbol Italia on, and I used to watch that with my dad. And I always we always spoke and said, if I get the opportunity to go and play football in Italy, I'm going to take it. And at the time, the Italian league was the best league in the world. And, I played against some of the best defenders, Maldinis, Nestas, Cannavaros, Cafu. Like, it was just unbelievable experience for me. So it was a great decision in the end.